If you put an S in front of words, it becomes swords. And that's what words are. They're cutting. They can cause you great trouble.
The world is built on words. Every promise made, every law enacted, every story told, all of it is shaped by language. Words are more than mere tools for communication. They hold power. They shape how we think, how we feel, and how we see the world. Jordan Maxwell, a man who dedicated his life to uncovering hidden truths, believed this deeply. His research unveiled something extraordinary. The words we use daily are not as simple as they seem. They are codes carrying meanings that stretch far beyond their surface. Jordan Maxwell's hidden research. Imagine speaking words that bind you to unseen forces. What if every casual phrase you uttered carried a hidden weight, subtly shaping your destiny? Maxwell's work suggested this is exactly what happens. He called language the ultimate hidden system of control, a silent architect of our reality. In one of his most provocative lectures, Maxwell spoke about the biblical phrase, "In the beginning was the Word." He wasn't alone in pondering this idea. Hinduism and Christianity have long held that creation begins with sound or vibration. The universe is not merely a physical construct, but a symphony orchestrated by the vibrations of words. Maxwell took it further, suggesting that those who control words control the world. The ancients understood this. The Egyptians revered the power of the spoken word, believing that it could summon gods and bend reality. In their tradition, words were not just sounds, they were living entities, carriers of divine energy. Maxwell explored the idea that the reverence ancient cultures had for language might offer insights into how language could influence modern societal structures and power dynamics. Pause for a moment and think about how words shape your life. When someone calls you strong, you feel it in your chest. When they call you weak, you feel it in your gut. These are not random reactions. Words tap into something deep within us, something primal and unseen. Maxwell believed that our language is laced with subtle programming. It tells us who we are, what we can do, and where we belong. Take, for example, the phrase spell. In school, we learn to spell words, never questioning the deeper meaning. Maxwell pointed out that the word spell is no coincidence. It suggests that forming words is akin to casting spells, an act of creation that can shape reality. This idea echoes the teachings of the Hermetic tradition, which states, "As above, so below." The microcosm of our language mirrors the macrocosm of the universe. Maxwell was fascinated by legal language, words crafted with surgical precision to control behavior. He explored how terms like contract and consent carry more weight than they appear to. When you sign a contract, are you simply agreeing to terms, or are you unknowingly binding yourself to something greater? The way we use words in law, finance, and governance, Maxwell argued, is designed to obscure rather than illuminate. One of his most striking observations was about maritime law, a system that governs trade across the seas. Maxwell pointed out the hidden connections between this law and everyday language. Why do we birth a child in a delivery room as though they were cargo? Why do banks operate on currencies like currents of the sea? These linguistic echoes, he argued, are not accidents. They reveal a deeper system of control, one that operates unnoticed. The subtle power of words extends beyond governance and into spirituality. Maxwell often referenced the work of mystical traditions like the Kabbalah, which sees language as the very fabric of existence. In the Kabbalistic tradition, each letter of the Hebrew alphabet is imbued with spiritual energy, capable of influencing the material world. Maxwell saw this as evidence of a universal truth. Words are not just descriptive, but creative. Consider the parable of the Tower of Babel. Humanity, united in language, attempted to build a tower that reached the heavens. According to the story, God confounded their speech, scattering them into linguistic chaos. Maxwell suggested this story holds a deeper meaning. Unified language was humanity's greatest power, a tool to shape reality. Once divided, people became disconnected from their potential. This is where Maxwell's work becomes intensely personal. He believed that if we could understand the true nature of words, we could reclaim our power. The first step, he said, is awareness. Listen to the words you speak. Are they affirming or limiting? Do they create or destroy? Take the word hope. On the surface, it seems positive, but Maxwell pointed out its hidden implications. To hope is to desire something without certainty. It's passive, relying on external forces rather than internal action. Contrast this with the word know. When you say, I know, you anchor yourself in certainty and strength. Subtle differences, yet profoundly impactful. What would happen if you began to see language not as a tool, but as a living force? How might your reality shift if you become intentional with your words? Maxwell believed that this awareness was the key to freedom, not just freedom from external control, but from the internal constraints we place on ourselves. The journey into Maxwell's research is like peeling back the layers of an onion. Each discovery reveals another, deeper truth. It's not just about language, it's about the very nature of existence. Words shape thoughts, thoughts shape beliefs, beliefs shape actions, and actions shape reality. This is why Maxwell often reminded his audience of the Buddhist teaching, "With our thoughts, we make the world." To understand this fully, he said, we must first understand the words that form those thoughts. As we delve deeper into his insights, the question becomes not just what words are shaping our reality, but how are these linguistic patterns woven into the fabric of our lives? And most importantly, how can we begin to unravel them, reclaiming our power to speak and live with intention? Jordan Maxwell's hidden research reminds us of something profound. Reality is not fixed, it is fluid, shaped by the words we speak and the stories we tell ourselves. If words create spells, then we are all magicians. The question is, what kind of magic are we weaving? The layers of language. If words are spells, then the stories we tell ourselves are rituals shaping the world we live in. Each day, most of us unconsciously repeat phrases that define who we are and what the world looks like. These internal narratives don't merely influence emotions, they quietly mold reality itself, weaving the threads of possibility into the fabric of experience. Language is not a passive tool, it's alive, carrying the weight of centuries of culture, beliefs, and power. Hidden within every word are layers of meaning that often go unnoticed, yet these meanings work silently, influencing how we see ourselves and the world around us. For instance, consider the word understand. At first glance, it seems simple, but to stand under something implies submission, positioning oneself beneath an authority. How many such words do we speak each day without considering their deeper impact? Everyday phrases carry immense power, often without us realizing it. Take something as common as saying, "I have to go to work." This small sentence subtly removes agency, suggesting obligation and powerlessness. Now imagine reframing it as, "I choose to go to work." With one shift, the feeling changes entirely, returning a sense of control and purpose. It's not just semantics, it's a reflection of inner truth. This connection between words and reality isn't a new idea. Ancient cultures recognized the profound power of language. In Egypt, priests believed that to name something was to give it life. They used sacred incantations and carefully crafted syllables to invoke the divine. Similarly, Hindu traditions emphasize the transformative energy of mantras, words, or phrases repeated in meditation to align the soul with higher truths. These practices reflect a universal understanding. Words are not mere tools for communication, but active forces in shaping existence. When words are used unconsciously, they lose their depth. Modern language often flattens meaning, leaving people disconnected from their roots. Consider the word love. In English, it's used for everything from romantic relationships to favorite foods. Compare this to ancient Greek, where words like eros, romantic love, Philia, friendship, and agape, unconditional love, captured love's complexities. Without this nuance, our understanding of relationships becomes shallow, limiting our ability to connect deeply. This shallow use of language is particularly evident in media and advertising. Every headline, slogan, and tagline is crafted to evoke emotions and guide behavior. Phrases like "you need this" or "you deserve this" are designed not just to sell products, but to sell ideas about identity and worth. These words subtly plant seeds of desire, convincing us that happiness lies in external things. Religious language also carries profound implications. Phrases like "the fear of God" shape collective ideas about divinity. Is fear truly the intended message, or is it a distortion of deeper spiritual truths? In sacred texts, words were chosen with care, often encoded with layers of meaning. In the story of creation, the phrase "let there be light" is not just an event, it's a metaphor for the power of speech to bring ideas into existence. This connection between language and creation aligns with modern science. Some interpretations of quantum physics suggest that reality is not fixed, but influenced by observation and intention. If consciousness plays a role in shaping the physical world, then the words we use to frame thoughts become crucial tools for creating the lives we want. Words also play a role in our internal dialogue, where their power can be most transformative. How often do thoughts like "I'm not good enough" or "I always mess up" pass through the mind? These silent mantras can become self-fulfilling prophecies, trapping people in cycles of fear and doubt. But when these phrases are replaced with empowering alternatives like "I'm learning" or "I'm growing," something shifts. The mind begins to align with possibility instead of limitation. This practice is echoed in mindfulness traditions. Meditation teaches people to observe their thoughts without judgment, allowing them to pass like clouds in the sky. By watching words as they arise, individuals can see them for what they are: fleeting constructs, not absolute truths. In that space of observation, freedom begins. It's not just the words spoken aloud that matter, but the unspoken ones as well. The silent narratives running through the mind are the foundations of belief systems. A story repeated often enough becomes a truth, whether it's "the world is a harsh place" or "I'm unworthy of love." By consciously choosing new stories, reality begins to shift. The power of language is also seen in collective systems of control. Words have been used throughout history to shape societal structures, often in subtle ways. Terms like "consumer" frame people's identities around consumption, reducing them to economic roles. Breaking free from these imposed labels starts with awareness. By questioning the language that defines roles and values, individuals can reclaim their sense of self. This deeper awareness of words doesn't mean abandoning them, but using them with intention. Imagine approaching each sentence as an artist approaches a canvas, carefully selecting colors and strokes to create meaning. Instead of saying "I'm stuck," say "I'm at a crossroads." Instead of saying "I can't," say "I'm exploring new ways." These shifts may seem small, but they ripple outward, influencing not just perception but action. Words are alive. They carry energy, intention, and the potential to transform. By choosing them consciously, individuals tap into their creative power, aligning with universal truths about connection, growth, and possibility. As the power of words becomes clearer, a deeper question emerges: how did language evolve into such a potent force, and why do we often wield it unconsciously? The hidden power of language. To answer, we must go back to humanity's earliest attempts to communicate, where words were not simply tools, but sacred symbols carrying profound meaning. Ancient civilizations understood something modern culture has largely forgotten. Words are vibrations that resonate with the energy of creation. In the beginning, before written language, people relied on sounds and symbols to convey their connection to the cosmos. These utterances weren't mere descriptors, they were invocations. A chant was not just music, It was a bridge between the material and the spiritual, a way to bring the unseen into form. The sacred nature of language is evident in nearly every spiritual tradition. In Hindu philosophy, the word Om is considered the primordial sound, the vibration from which the universe was born. Similarly, the Gospel of John begins with the phrase, "In the beginning was the Word." These teachings reveal a universal truth. Words are not just arbitrary constructs, but primal forces. However, as societies grew and language developed to meet the demands of trade, governance, and daily life, its sacred roots were buried beneath layers of practicality. Words became utilitarian, stripped of their mystical essence. Over time, people forgot the deeper power they wielded with every spoken syllable. Despite this loss, remnants of the sacred nature of language persisted. Consider the way certain phrases seem to carry a charge far beyond their literal meaning. A single "I love you" can transform a relationship, while an "I'm proud of you" can echo in someone's heart for a lifetime. Conversely, a harsh word can cut deeper than any blade, leaving wounds that take years to heal. These emotional impacts hint at a truth that many spiritual teachings emphasize: words carry energy. In this way, language functions like a tuning fork, resonating with the vibrations of the speaker's intent. When spoken with love, words uplift. When laced with anger, they harm. This is why mindfulness in speech is considered a cornerstone of personal and spiritual growth. The Buddhist concept of right speech, one of the steps on the Eightfold Path, encourages practitioners to speak only words that are truthful, kind, and beneficial. This isn't just moral guidance, it's recognition of the creative power of words. To speak carelessly is to scatter seeds of chaos, but to speak with intention is to plant the seeds of harmony. In today's world, much of our communication occurs without mindfulness. Social media, for instance, amplifies words' power while diluting their depth. A single tweet or post can spark movements or create divisions, often with little thought behind the words themselves. This rapid-fire communication fosters a culture where words are thrown out like confetti and their lasting impact is rarely considered. Yet, this very landscape presents an opportunity. By slowing down and choosing words deliberately, we can reclaim their transformative potential. Imagine using each interaction, whether online or in person, as an opportunity to create rather than destroy, to build bridges rather than walls. The ripple effects of such mindful communication are profound. This idea extends beyond individual speech to the collective stories we tell. Societies are built on shared narratives woven together by language. Consider how terms like freedom, justice, or progress shape national identities. These words carry ideals, but they are also malleable, often twisted to serve specific agendas. Understanding this reveals a path to reclaim these narratives by infusing them with authenticity and integrity. One way to harness the creative power of words is through affirmations. These are not just feel-good statements, but deliberate efforts to reprogram the subconscious mind. When someone repeatedly tells themselves, "I am capable," they're not just speaking, they're rewriting internal scripts shaped by years of doubt. Over time, these affirmations become beliefs, and beliefs shape reality. The same principle applies to the words we use to describe others. Labeling someone as difficult or lazy doesn't just reflect perception, it reinforces that reality for both the speaker and the subject. On the other hand, seeing others through a lens of potential, choosing words like resilient or resourceful, can inspire them to rise to those descriptions. This practice isn't about ignoring challenges or avoiding difficult conversations. It's about recognizing that the language we use frames how those challenges are approached. For instance, instead of saying, "This problem is impossible to solve," try, "This is a puzzle we haven't figured out yet." The shift in phrasing opens doors to solutions that a defeatist mindset might have closed. The power of words also lies in their ability to connect us. Stories passed down through generations, shape cultures, and convey timeless truths. Whether it's parables from sacred texts or simple bedtime stories, these narratives use language to teach, heal, and inspire. They remind us that while words can isolate, they can also unite. Language is not only a bridge between people, but a link to the divine. In moments of prayer or meditation, words become tools for communion with higher realms. They carry intentions upward like smoke from a sacred fire, connecting the finite with the infinite. To fully embrace the transformative power of words, it helps to approach them with a sense of reverence. Each word is a spark of creation, capable of igniting change within and around us. By speaking with awareness and intention, we align ourselves with the deeper truths that language was originally meant to convey. But how can we use this knowledge to shift not just individual lives, but the collective experience of humanity? How can we use this knowledge to shift our lives? The journey of discovering the power of words isn't just personal. It's a path toward collective awakening. One realization becomes unavoidable in the connection between words and reality. We are not just passive users of language. We are creators and architects shaping the world through the words we choose. This is a power so profound that it often feels easier to ignore it, to carry on speaking without thought, unaware of the structures we're building or the bridges we're burning. But the truth remains. With every word, we are planting seeds. These seeds, whether we intend them or not, grow. They take root in the minds of those who hear them, including ourselves. A simple "I can't do this" germinates into doubt, and before long, it blooms into a belief. On the other hand, a quiet "I'll find a way" grows into resilience, strengthening over time like a tree bending toward the sun. Words are never neutral. They are energy in motion, setting things into place before we even act. Ancient philosophies understood this interplay between language and creation. In the Hermetic tradition, the principle of mentalism teaches that all is mind, suggesting that reality is shaped by thought. If the mind is the origin of all things, then language, as the tool of the mind, becomes the mechanism through which we shape the external world. The words we speak are an extension of our inner consciousness, spilling out to influence everything they touch. This idea is echoed in the concept of karma. While karma is often simplified as cause and effect, its deeper meaning relates to the energy we put into the world through our actions, intentions, and, yes, our words. A careless word spoken in anger doesn't just hurt in the moment. It sends ripples into the world, creating consequences that may return to us in unexpected ways. Conversely, a kind word can plant seeds of healing that flourish far beyond what we can see. One of the most compelling modern examples of how words shape reality can be found in the field of psychology. Cognitive behavioral therapy relies heavily on the principle that our thoughts framed as internal dialogue directly impact our feelings and behaviors. For someone struggling with anxiety, the phrase "I can't handle this" becomes a mantra of limitation, reinforcing the cycle of fear. But when that same person replaces it with "I'm learning to face this," the shift is palpable. Their reality changes because their perception of their own ability shifts. But this isn't just about self-help or positive thinking. The power of language extends far beyond individual transformation. It is the foundation of societal change. Consider how great leaders have used words to unite, inspire, or even manipulate. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech is a testament to the ability of words to envision a new reality. In stark contrast, propaganda throughout history shows how words can also be weaponized to sow division and fear. The line between liberation and control often lies in who wields the language and how it is used. This is why questioning the narratives handed down to us is so crucial. Words are not just descriptors of reality, they are tools for creating it. When we accept language without examining it, we give others the power to define our world for us. Take, for instance, the labels we assign ourselves. Words like failure, victim, or imposter become cages, locking us into roles we believe we can't escape. But what happens when we challenge these labels? What if instead of saying, "I'm a failure," we say, "I experienced a setback"? The shift in language doesn't deny the reality of hardship. It reframes it, opening the door to growth rather than resignation. This reframing is not about denying pain or pretending life is always positive. It's about recognizing that the stories we tell ourselves are never the full truth. They are interpretations shaped by words that reflect our beliefs. By choosing new words, we choose new beliefs, and by choosing new beliefs, we choose a new reality. This practice of choosing words mindfully is not just encouraged, it is sacred. In Jewish mysticism, the power of the Hebrew alphabet is said to shape the very fabric of existence. Each letter is believed to carry divine energy, and the combination of letters into words becomes an act of creation. This mirrors the concept in Genesis, where God speaks the universe into being. The lesson is clear. Words are not passive, they are acts of creation. Even in our everyday lives, we have the power to speak things into existence. When someone says, "I'm ready to heal," they are not just stating a fact, they are setting an intention. That intention, carried by words, begins to influence actions, choices, and ultimately outcomes. The same principle applies when we affirm the worth of others. A simple, "I see your strength," can ignite a fire in someone's soul, reminding them of a truth they had forgotten. Yet this power comes with responsibility. If words can create, they can also destroy. Gossip, criticism, and careless speech can unravel connections and sow discord. This is why so many spiritual paths emphasize the importance of silence. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is the space where words are chosen with care. This is where the journey turns inward. To speak consciously, we must first listen consciously. This means paying attention to the words running through our minds, the stories we repeat without question. It means asking, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this kind? Before we can change the language we speak aloud, we must change the language we speak to ourselves. The path to transformation begins here, in the quiet moments where we choose what kind of world we want to create with our words. It is a journey of reclaiming power, not by force, but by intention. With each word we speak, we write the story of our lives. How to align this newfound awareness of language with action? The language we use is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, between intention and manifestation. This is not just about spiritual ideals or ancient philosophies. It is a living, breathing truth that shapes every aspect of our lives. Once we grasp this, the question is no longer whether words hold power. It is how we wield that power wisely. To live in harmony with this understanding, we must first embrace the duality of language. Words can illuminate or obscure, heal or harm, liberate or oppress. Knowing this, the practice of intentional speaking becomes both an art and a discipline. It requires that we move beyond the surface-level use of words to tap into their deeper essence. Take, for example, the way we describe time. In many Western languages, we spend time as if it were a finite resource, reinforcing the belief that life is a race against the clock. Contrast this with languages that describe time as something cyclical or expansive, like many indigenous or Eastern traditions. These linguistic differences shape how we experience life itself. When we see time as abundant rather than scarce, we allow for moments of presence and connection to unfold naturally. Similarly, the way we speak about emotions creates a framework for how we experience them. When someone says, "I am angry," they merge their identity with the emotion, making it feel all-encompassing. But when they reframe it as "I feel anger," the emotion becomes a transient experience rather than a defining trait. This small shift in language opens the door to understanding, growth, and eventual release. This principle applies to how we interact with others as well. Consider how often we use language to create division. Us versus them, right versus wrong, good versus bad. These binary constructs limit our ability to see the complexity of the world. But when we choose inclusive language, words that invite understanding rather than judgment, we build bridges instead of walls. One of the most powerful practices for using words wisely is storytelling. Stories are the oldest form of communication, transcending time and culture. Through stories, we convey values, share lessons, and shape collective beliefs. Every religion, philosophy, and movement begins with a story, a narrative that inspires people to see the world differently. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a parable about a man who encounters a river blocking his path. He builds a raft to cross it and continues his journey. Later, he encounters another traveler who struggles with the same obstacle. Instead of describing the raft as mine or keeping it for himself, the man teaches the other how to build their own. The lesson here is not only about generosity, but also about how words, like the raft, are tools. They are not meant to be clung to, but used to guide ourselves and others toward clarity. To fully harness the transformative power of words, we must also recognize when to let them go. Silence is not an absence, but a fertile space where insight grows. In silence, we hear the nuances of the world that words often drown out. Silence teaches us that not everything needs to be named, defined, or explained. It reminds us that the truest understanding often arises when we stop speaking and start listening. This is a lesson mirrored in the natural world. Consider the ocean, whose depths remain largely unmapped. Its vastness cannot be captured in words, yet it exists as a living entity, influencing the planet in countless ways. In the same way, our inner lives are vast and mysterious, beyond the reach of language. Words are the surface waves, but the currents below, our intuition, our spirit, our connection to something greater, remain untouched by them. But this doesn't diminish the importance of words, rather it places them in their proper context. Words are tools, not masters. They are the expression of our deeper truths, not the truth itself. When we recognize this, we free ourselves from the limitations of language while still honoring its power. This understanding has practical implications. When we speak, we can pause and ask, what am I creating with these words? Am I building a world of fear or one of love? Am I reinforcing division or fostering unity? These questions guide us toward greater intentionality, helping us align our language with our values. Moreover, this awareness extends beyond spoken words to the written and unspoken. The texts we write, the symbols we choose, the way we hold ourselves in silence, all of these are forms of language. They too carry energy and meaning. By cultivating mindfulness in all forms of communication, we create a life that reflects our highest intentions. When we say, "I am capable," we are not ignoring challenges but affirming our ability to rise to them. When we declare, "I am enough," we are not denying growth but embracing our inherent worth. These statements, repeated with intention, reshape not only our minds but also the world we inhabit. In the end, the power of words lies in their ability to connect. They connect us to each other, to ourselves, and to the greater mystery of existence. But this connection is not automatic. It requires attention, care, and a willingness to listen as much as we speak. Understanding how words shape reality is not about mastering language, but about aligning with its deeper purpose. It is about using words as tools for creation, healing, and connection, while also knowing when to release them into silence. This balance is the key to living a life where words become a force for good, a reflection of the infinite possibilities within us. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.